All right. Well, welcome everybody to How to Supercharge Your EOS Traction Implementation. My name is Mike Kramer, and I am founder of ManageHub, which, as you may know, is cloud-based software that makes it much easier to engage your employees in process documentation and continuous improvement and strategic execution, and as you can imagine, traction as well. And you may wonder why this presentation? Well, it all started a few years ago when I started to receive phone calls from EOS implementers and integrators and adopters, and they thanked me for creating ManageHub, telling me that it finally helped them achieve something that they called traction. And after about a dozen calls, I started to investigate what traction was, and I learned about EOS. And I started to work with several EOS implementers and integrators and help their organizations put traction to use using ManageHub. Very interestingly, they kind of gave me insights into what they were doing to make their traction implementations go so well. And I got more and more excited about it. And I have to admit that a lot of traction's concepts were familiar to me because its principles are very similar to many of the other quality management methods that I was using. And it's important to acknowledge that traction is just one of 31 flavors of quality management theory. You may have read other books like Good to Great and E-Myth and The Goal and others, and you may be familiar with quality management models like Six Sigma and ISO and TQM and perhaps Baldrige, which we'll talk about in a moment. And if you're like me, you're inundated with blog articles through LinkedIn or Twitter from Fast Company and Inc. and Harvard Business Review or whatever else you subscribe to. And the more you learn about quality management and these methods in these books, the more you realize there's a common thread that unites all of them. And today what I'd like to do is kind of compare traction with the Baldrige program, because I really do think that both are so similar and complement each other. And it's important to know that Baldrige is the United States standard of organizational excellence. It was created by an act of Congress in 1987 with the intention of helping businesses and organizations and leaders become more competitive, build more solid and sustainable organizations, more successful organizations. And it's been around for about 25 years, and the largest organizations in the world have adopted Baldrige principles. And as you'll see in a moment, their principles are so similar to Traction's. And many of these organizations actually won Baldrige recognition or Baldrige awards. Here's just a handful of them. And I encourage you, since we're talking about Baldrige, one of my missions is to let leaders know about the Baldrige program. I encourage you to visit baldrigepe.org. And you'll see that there are three components to the Baldrige enterprise: the foundation, the national program, which is managed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the Alliance for Performance Excellence. And if you click on the Alliance for Performance Excellence, you'll see that ManageHub is a partner, and we're very proudly a partner. And our mission is to help more organizations adopt Baldrige principles, especially small and mid-sized organizations. All right. So like I said before, Traction and Baldrige complement each other. It's kind of like peanut butter and chocolate. Together, it's a beautiful combination. And if you look at the EOS model, and this, for those of you who are not familiar, I'm assuming that everybody who's coming to these presentations is already familiar with EOS, but just in case, this is the EOS model. And it depicts all of the elements that are necessary to be working together. Starting with vision. You have to know where you're headed, right? And everybody else has to know it too. It has to be shared by all, this vision, this direction. And you have to have the right people in the right seats. Very good to great, by the way. And you have to have measurements. If it's not measurable, it's not manageable. So you got to have that data component. And you have to have processes documented. And let's add to it a Baldrige concept. They have to be systematic and repeatable. And when something goes wrong, you have to have continuous improvement in place. So you've got to somehow manage those issues, which I think is one of the best parts about EOS. It's a thing that EOS and Traction have shined a bright light on managing those issues. And then traction, right? When everything's working together, you achieve that wonderful thing, traction, where you're fast forward, supercharged, fast forward momentum. And to make that happen, you have to manage projects, improvement projects. They call them rocks. And you have to have meetings. But I would add one more thing: you have to have ongoing coaching. Without ongoing coaching, employee coaching, to encourage adoption of the vision and identifying those right people and making sure they're in the right seats and making sure they're engaged in all the processes and managing the issues, and it's going to all fall apart. Okay, now let's compare the traction model or the EOS model with the Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework. And remember, the Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework was created by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is a national program. It's adopted worldwide. It's recognized as the gold standard of organizational development. And by the way, if you're from the EU, there is an equivalent organization called EFQM, and the concepts and principles of Baldrige and EFQM are almost interchangeable. Well, in the Baldrige framework, it starts with great leaders on the left, creating great strategies that are continuously evolving to the evolving needs of their customers. So customers is an add-on here from the EOS model. And then they hire great people who are continuously improving the processes, so workforce and operations. And if you add in the knowledge component, the measurement component, the accounting component, and you have the mission, the vision, and the values, the culture, and everything is working together beautifully, you get those results. You get the results you want. Well, when you think about the EOS model or the Baldrige model, really these elements that we're talking about are pretty logical, and we didn't need Gino Wickman or the Baldrige program to tell us about these elements, right? It's very common sense. The innovation of these models is the integration. And that's also the challenge. All of these elements have to work together like a finely tuned machine. But that's where leaders have the problem. That's where they have problem gaining traction, because it's not so easy to make all these components work together like a finely tuned machine. Like these elements are gears working together, right? Instead, it's more like a ball of yarn. And if you look at the EOS model, it's the same thing. I mean, if you're not engaging your people and documenting your processes, if your people aren't aligned with the vision, if they're not collecting the data and using it properly, if they're not resolving the issues, it's a mess, right? And that is the challenge. It's easy to talk about these concepts. It's very inviting to talk about these concepts, but try to actually implement the concepts, right? So, like I said, when I first started to hear about traction, I started to receive all these phone calls, and what I was hearing from them is that they were having problems engaging their people, and that optimizing their processes wasn't something that was in the forefront of their implementation. And I knew from working with Baldrige for years and years that if you don't focus on making each process systematic and repeatable, the machine falls apart. And they talked about how difficult it was to manage the avalanche of issues. And just talking about the issues at an L10 meeting, which is a weekly meeting, isn't enough. And it's not enough time. And brainstorming solutions in a meeting is so inefficient and such a distraction. And then problems with engaging people to execute their strategies. And then how do I measure it? How do I know I'm making progress? Well, if you are able to figure it out, the results can be phenomenal. And for the Baldrige program, for those who have actually won Baldrige recognition, which demonstrates that they've actually implemented the key principles in the framework, or you could think about it in the EOS model, the results can be phenomenal. And so here, the National Institute of Standards and Technology put together a report, which I encourage you to download. All you have to do is Google Baldrige 2020 report, and you'll see about 150-page report that gathers data related to the improvement of all of those areas that I showed you in the Baldrige framework. So improvement in customer satisfaction, improvement in employee engagement, improvement in every aspect, strategic execution, and the one that everybody cares the most about is growth, right? And here you can see that adopting management principles of Baldrige, or you can think about it as EOS. I'm sure EOS has something similar. I hope they've gathered data. You could see 92.5% median growth in revenue. It's shocking, right? Because that's what everybody wants. If you go to LinkedIn and you read those blog articles, most of them relate to, SEO optimization, how to reach your customer, how to sell, right? And everybody wants to grow. But They're just pursuing growth through marketing. They're not thinking about all the other elements and components, including management excellence, that are necessary to create a scalable company. And that has been a big question that people constantly ask me when, after they read the 2020 report, or they learn about Baldrige and how focusing on management excellence produces breakthrough growth. They ask, why is it? I'm spending all this money on marketing and I'm getting new customers, but I'm plateaued. So how do you explain it? So I came up with a theory called business growth homeostasis, and it states that a business can only grow to the point that it can deliver consistent quality to all its customers. The moment quality degrades, the moment you can no longer deliver consistent quality to everyone, it doesn't matter if your marketing works. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on marketing. You're going to lose as many customers out the back door as you gain in the front door. So for all these leaders who are puzzled and they're looking at their marketing budget and they're wondering, how much more do I have to spend to start breaking through to my next level of success? They could take all that money and put it in their pockets and enjoy their lives instead of, just trading customers, new customers for old customers. And having that effective management system, it's more than just making more money and growing. It's a difference between living a stressful life and living a successful life. Because when I ask EOS implementing companies, I ask the leader, are you still stressed? Is there inconsistent quality in your products and services? Are you still having the same old employee issues? Are customers still complaining? Are you putting out those same fires? Do you still feel disorganized? Well, if you're saying yes to any of these, something isn't working, because you shouldn't feel stressed. You should feel engaged and energized, and everybody should feel that way in your company, not just you, all of your people. And there shouldn't be inconsistent quality. The consistent quality should drive the growth, right? Excellence should drive the growth. And your employees, well, they should be true partners in driving the growth. They should want to grow with your growing company. And yeah, everybody has customer complaints, but you should be able to react to them, put out that problem once and forever so that it doesn't impact any other customer. That's the hallmark of a great company. Putting out those fires once and forever, that's the key. And then the last one here, overly dependent on key employees. Just ask yourself, can you think of one or two or three or more people in your organization who hold the keys to critical knowledge where if they left, you would be holding the bag and very stressed out? Well, your organization needs to own the knowledge. People need to be able to grow and be free from their job traps and grow with your company. Otherwise, eventually they're going to seek opportunity elsewhere. They don't want to be doing estimating forever, for 25 years. How much more estimating can they do? They want to be in a different position now. And they want to trade that old job, estimating, which is so critical, or sales, or whatever that hoarding, that knowledge silo is, to somebody else. But they can't. So after organizations make this transformation and they start seeing like, wow, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, they say, why did I wait so long? I procrastinated for so many years. Some of these people are older. They started to package their business for sale. And as they did, they started to put a lot of this into place, and they started to see that they could really enjoy their business and see it grow again. And now they don't want to sell it, but they're over 70 and it's time, They thought they had a lifestyle business, a hobby business, but really they didn't have much of a life because they were working day and night. That's a shame. One of the things that we constantly heard from Traction and EOS implementers is they didn't have a good way to measure where they were at in their journey. How were they doing, And so I always offer anybody, actually, not just EOS and Traction implementers, but to take the success score. The Baldrige community and ManageHub got together and we created a wonderful Baldrige-based assessment that you can take, and it produces a 25-page report that rates your success in those categories that we shared before: leadership and strategy, and employees or people. And so because they're so similar to the Traction model, you can use this as a way to measure the improvement in those areas. And because it's all Baldrige based and developed by key leaders of the Baldrige community, it's a good gauge for maturity. So just visit our website and indicate my name as your consultant or coach, and I'll give you a free 25-page report and you'll see it. Okay, so now for the big questions, right? Remember, these are the big issues that people said ManageHub solved. How do we engage our people on an ongoing basis? How do we optimize those processes? How do we manage issues in a better way, a more consistent way than just waiting for meetings? How do we execute on our strategy and measurement we just spoke about? And so here's our big idea. And just to give you a little history, ManageHub was created specifically to help organizations adopt Baldrige. It just so happens that it helps organizations adopt EOS and these other models like eMyth or Good to Great. Any holistic management approach, it'll help because of this idea. And the idea is to organize your people into a network of teams who are empowered to document and improve the work that they perform. And the way we do that is we create online workspaces. One workspace is dedicated to every operational process in the business, or one workspace is dedicated to every strategy, or one workspace is dedicated to every issue. And then the relevant people are invited into the workspace so they can work together asynchronously, which means not using emails, not using phone calls. Whenever it's not disruptive to their time, they are pinged, they are alerted that there's something for them to work on. They can review what's happened, they can give their insights, and they can do it when it's convenient. And you could see all the people who want to have an impact are engaged. Everything that you wanted in that EOS model is happening right here in these individual workspaces. So let's take a moment and just see how it works. Okay, so here we are in ManageHub. And basically what ManageHub is a collaborative framework. It uses all the typical social elements like face grids and autoresponders and news feeds. You could see news feeds here that lets you know everything that's changed. And it integrates organizational improvement. And so let's take a look how it works. The first thing we do with an organization is we identify all of its departments and processes. So we create that network of teams. So let's just click on dispatch. It's one operational process. And here we are in the workspace. You could see these are the people who perform this one process. Now, here's the great thing about this is many organizations who are adopting traction are a little bit larger. They're at that tipping point from, being a startup to a scale up, or they're starting to scale up and they're losing control of everything. And the key thing about that makes traction work is engaging your people in resolving issues and engaging your people in taking ownership and responsibility for their processes. Well, all that happens right here within this workspace because these people can be all over the world. They could be in multiple locations, but if they're performing dispatch, they can work together asynchronously right within this meeting room. So here you have a list of everything that's changed. You have a description of what this process is all about. Everybody, wherever they may be located, they're uploading all the knowledge related to how do you perform dispatch? What are all the different methods? And here are the training sessions. So it's easy to onboard new people. And what's critical is that every location implement this one process the same way. But it's also equally critical that if one of these people has a better idea of doing it more efficiently or at less cost or to continuously improve it, they have a way to share that idea. And then everybody can get together and vet it and decide, okay, let's change. We're all going to change the way we do dispatch now. And to do that, all they have to do is click here, share an idea, report an issue, ask a question, or start a discussion. And when they do that, everybody is automatically alerted. And it creates another meeting room. Remember, network of teams. There's 3 types of teams. There's a process team, there's a discussion team, and there's a strategy team. Here you've got your discussion team. Somebody's reported an issue. Customers are complaining about rude drivers. Everybody who is necessary to be involved is included. So the discussion team is big because it's more than just dispatch. They also added in materials assembly and print media design, whatever was necessary. Notice too that it's been associated with the level 10 meeting because this is something that they want to discuss in the level 10 meeting. Not all the issues will be discussed, but the entire thread of the conversation occurs right within this meeting room. And people can share documents, they could share websites, whatever is necessary to resolve this issue. And this was one of the key things that EOS implementers were saying, like, thank you for ManageHub, because this avalanche of issues, you just couldn't get to them all. But now because you're associating the issue with the process team who's responsible, now you're taking all those issues and you're filtering them throughout the organization. You're getting more people involved. And guess what? You're teaching people how to be leaders of their own work. Everybody becomes a leader. So look at what's happening right within ManageHub by just adopting these simple concepts that I've talked about so far. If we go back to dispatch, you've got the people who are performing this one process, learning how to be true managers, true leaders. So you're approaching, if you remember that EOS model, let's go back to the home for a second because you can see it right here. So right within ManageHub, everybody is driving towards the vision. Everybody's organized into processes. The people are engaged and they're working on issues. Now we add in projects, which is also included here, and you've got EOS come to life, EOS Live. So let's go to groups, and you'll see we created an L10 meeting group. And groups is just another way to take all of these elements that we've been looking at and put them into one collaborative workspace, because look how easy it is now to run an L10 meeting. You can associate all of the projects that you want to discuss right within the meeting. All the assignments, one click, and you have all the assignments that you want to discuss. All of the issues right here. And you turn your L10 meeting, instead of into a discussion brainstorming session, into an opportunity for managers to report on their progress and for you to celebrate their successes. It's a recognition meeting. So instead of being a long meeting, it can be a very short meeting. It could be 15 minutes long. You're just allowing people the opportunity to report on their progress. Or you're letting people know this is a really critical issue and we need to focus on it. In the next L10 meeting, we would like Jeff to report on this and let us know what's happening with the resolution of it. Can't have people complaining about rude drivers, right? So it gets everybody energized and focused and aligned, and they're driving towards that same vision. All right, so what I've tried to do today is give you a very, very quick 30-minute taste of, we just have a few minutes left here, of what ManageHub can do for you, why it seems to be like the secret method for adopting traction, which is just one of 31 flavors of quality management, remember. So if you prefer E-Myth, if you prefer Baldrige, if you prefer whatever it is, if you want to engage your people in becoming leaders of their own work and executing on strategy and resolving issues and creating a nimble and flexible organization, that's what we created ManageHub for. So I encourage you to visit our website and to learn more about our EOS solution. And if you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, you'll see that we have a simple way that you can participate. First, you can just do it yourself. Plenty of people do. You could create your own ManageHub account, and for just starting at $50 a month, you could get going. Or if you would like a ManageHub coach to assist you, it's $895 a month, and you will have somebody working with you to help you adopt all of this. If you want to work with a certified EOS implementer, we know some of the best in the world. So just let me know, and we will hook you up, and they will use ManageHub to help you implement. If you yourself are an implementer, we would love to work with you. If you would like, you can create your own custom designed version of ManageHub packed with all of your methods, and we can make that available to all of your customers. It basically creates your own ManageHub that your clients can subscribe to. So I'm out of breath. I hope I did a good job giving you an overview of our secret method to supercharge your Traction EOS implementation. My name is Mike Kramer. Please contact me at mike@managehub.com or call me at 847-675-8211, and I'll be very happy to answer your questions and help you. And most importantly, work together to help you achieve traction. So thank you, everybody, and let's talk soon.